First up then, let's take a look at Console 1, which is something I was really keen to try out. DAW technology has come on a long way over the years, and especially through the use of software effects that emulate outboard, as well as insert effects that add warmth and other analog artifacts, decent mixing is now totally achievable entirely within software. However, it never hurts to have a bit more analog style processing to help breathe life into an otherwise purely digital mix, and Console 1 aims to do just that. My only previous contact with Softube products was the Effect Compressor Reason Rack extension that I reviewed for our channel a while back, which I was really impressed with the quality of, particularly for the price. Console 1 is an entirely different price bracket, mainly due to the hardware factor, which in this case is a very sturdy metal surface with nice solid knobs, and as you can see, this fits neatly on your desk without taking up too much room, but puts all of the controls that you'd find on one channel of a console right at your fingertips. One thing I only realised after it arrived, however, was that none of the processing actually goes on inside the hardware, so there's no DSP here, and it's purely a control surface for the software. How does it work then? Well, in summary, you insert the Console 1 plugin on any or all tracks in your project, after which you can type in a name to help identify the track. And there are other buttons for showing all the plugin controls, just in case you maybe don't have the hardware and need to make adjustments, as well as a solo safe button, which means that the plugin's solo function will be deactivated for this instance, so is recommended for return channels and the master bus. But enough of the boring stuff, let's take a look at it in action now. So if I hit the display button, you can see we get the window popping up. And there's also an auto button on the hardware for making it appear automatically when a control is adjusted, so you can choose what you prefer. So you can see what you get is an SSL 4000 eConsole channel strip emulation, with a great graphical interface controlled by the hardware surface. And running left to right, you have an input meter and filters, a dynamic shape section, which is a gate or expander, a 4-band parametric EQ, a compressor, and then an output section, again with a nice big meter, featuring an optional drive distortion circuit too. So let's have a listen to it in action. So I've got a very simple live set here with only 3 tracks in, and I've added Console 1 to all of them, as well as the return tracks and the master. Now I'll open up the Console 1 window. So you can see the tracks in my set running along the bottom here, and I've got the master and return tracks right at the end, which you can set up by clicking on the number in the plugin window and then pressing the track button on the hardware you want to move that plugin to. So it allows you to configure the setup yourself and keep things easy to find. I can choose the track I want to process using the corresponding track buttons. Starting with the drums then, I'll solo them first. And now I'll turn off the processing, so you can hear each section one by one. So at the start there are the filters. Then there's the shape section, which you can set up as a gate as I've got here, with the threshold set quite high and the release quite short. To make it more extreme, I can hit the hard gate switch, which gives you nice tight control over the dynamics. But what I like even more about this section is the Transient Shaper, which allows you to boost the initial transient with the punch control, and the rest of the envelope with the sustain control, which is great for making the drums fatter as an alternative to using the compressor. Now let's listen to the bass. And on the EQ section then, there are 4 bands on offer, with the 2 central ones being fully parametric, so with adjustable bandwidths, and the outer 2 being either shelves, bells, or filters. And the EQ sounds nice and warm generally, and certainly the kind of sound I'd expect from an SSL desk. And similarly, the compressor has that really satisfying classic SSL sound. And you can push it nice and hard without the signal deteriorating. Plus, you've got a parallel control, which allows you to blend the dry and wet signals for mixing the compressed and uncompressed sounds together. One of the things I like most about Console 1 is this drive option on the end, and it's definitely one of the best and most analog sounding elements about it. Just dialing in a bit adds some really nice saturation, which can be cranked up higher for more extreme effects. And there's a character control which can make it brighter or smoother depending on which way you rotate it. As with other saturators, this driver mount has a compression style effect, and basically limits at high values. So together with the Transient Shaper, you can create some really sweet effects. Other nice controls you've got here are 3 switches for changing the order of sections, so you can place the EQ after compression and so on. 2 buttons here for selecting multiple tracks, either all of them or a group of tracks, after which you can edit them all at the same time. And the last button here means you can route an external sidechain source from another track in your DAW to the compressor or shape sections. And as you can see, the hardware has plenty of LEDs for displaying all of your settings and levels. So together with the software's clear GUI, it's nice and obvious what's going on at all times. And of course, with it being software, you can easily copy and paste channel settings around and all sorts of things you'd expect from a digital setup. So you can hear what a huge difference Console 1 makes to all of my tracks here if I disable and then enable them one by one. And on the master, I'm also adding some of the drive feature, with the character control brought down, which is really nice on the master bus, as it makes the distortion softer and less obvious, and smooths out the sound. I've created 2 bounces of this loop now, one without Console 1 and one with, and I've normalized them so they're both turned up. And you can really hear what a difference Console 1 makes. So I'm massively looking forward to hearing the difference it can make on my actual mixes, with more digital elements in. I'll be using it shortly to mix 2 Anarchy Rice tracks I'm currently working on for Kind Crime Recordings, so keep an ear out for them to hear the results, which will probably lead to me going into hiding so I don't have to give this demo unit back. Anyway, I've had some great fun with Console 1, so if you're looking for some quality analog sounding effects with sweet hands-on control in your DAW, then it will definitely deliver.